Hello, everyone. I don't have any guests yet, but they will be here in a few minutes. Just one of them is getting stuff ready, and the others, I'm waiting for them to click the link. But I decided okay. Sorry about that. My internet was a cunt and decided to go out for no apparent reason, and but you know what? It's back, so that's all that matters.
Because you suck!
Okay, let me get. Okay, I know. Let me share my screen here because we're gonna be looking at the trailer. Man, whenever the internet gets fucked up, I want to go up to the cable company that I pay money for and put my foot in their ass, especially since this is something I'm trying to build a job for.
Yeah, what cable company do you use? One sec. I think my thing's coming in a little low. How does that sound?
Yeah, it sounds good. I think it sounds good.
Okay. Yeah. How does the what's it called? What
Ghostwire
what,
Tokyo.
cable...
We're
was
looking
that?
at the overview.
No. The cable company you use.
Spectrum.
Oh, okay. I've never heard of it, so that probably explains a whole lot.
Yeah, they're not as bad as CenturyLink, but sometimes they are still.
I've also never heard of that either, so probably that again.
Yeah, avoid them like the plague. They fucking suck. But before we look at the trailer,
down too, so that explains a lot.
Yeah, and so sometimes it's fine, but then there's also a lot of times like today where she likes to go on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off, and it just feels like a fucking ripoff, you know?
Well, what kind of router do you use?
Router? I'm not sure. I can't remember. That's something I haven't paid attention to.
That might be something to help out a bit with your speeds and stuff. So probably want to invest in that, maybe.
Yeah, it should. But have you heard of this game before today?
Nope. I've heard nothing of this game until now.
I have. I have. I'm kind of looking forward to it because it has that J horror type of thing going for it, and I love J horror, and I think it has potential. But okay, let's see if any of the other guests are ready.
Who else is here? Or how many people we expected? Because that might also have a strain on your
Monarch and possibly JSP. Like JSP, if you're still watching this, I sent you the link to the chat room. If you're joining, go and click it. Okay, Monarch joined.
Howdy.
Shalom.
Am I coming in all right?
Yep, you're coming in fine.
Essentially what this is, Ghostwire Tokyo, is, you know how a lot of stuff like Asian lore with Shinto, Buddhist, yokai, and stuff like that, that's essentially what we're looking at today, the type of game. But anyway, let's get into the trailer. Well, gameplay overview, but most about...
Oh yeah, wasn't this shown at the... If the name sounds familiar, wasn't it shown at like one of the like big things for, I think it was PlayStation when they did the reveal a while back that this was shown?
I don't think it was PlayStation, but I do remember watching the first trailer reveal a little while ago.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be only a PlayStation exclusive for a limited time. PlayStation and PC exclusive. Either way, it doesn't matter to me because I want to get a PS5 at some point, but you know how hard those fucking things are to get, so...
Well, I wouldn't know because I have one. Big flex.
Oh, yeah, sure. Man, no, yeah, Mr. Big Flex got the new gen, the next gen consoles.
First day, too.
Oh, shut up.
How? It took me
a while. Get out of here.
We kept on refreshing it. I fell asleep, and then it was in my cart when I woke up.
It took me a while to even get my hands on a Series X, let alone a fucking PlayStation 5.
Oh, I didn't even try looking for the Series X's. I was like, nope, PlayStation 5. Getting that Demon Souls. That's it.
Yeah. But yeah, let's take a look at this. See how it goes.
See.
Cool.
皆さんこんにちは。ゴーストワイヤー東京ディレクターの木村健二です。ターゴゲームワークス一同、皆さんにゴーストワイヤーのゲームプレイとストーリーをさらに深く紹介できるのを大変嬉しく思っています。
Okay, one thing I want to say about the guy in that yokai, not yokai mask, the guy in the Oni mask. I don't know what he is, but something about him I think really adds to the vibe of East Asian aesthetic, as Onis are a big part of stuff like Shintoism, and that's obviously what this game is going for here.
I would say
Also,
probably if
is it
anything,
just
it's
me?
like
Is it just me, or does it seem like it's a bit laggy on y'all's end?
it's a little laggy on my end. I
Yeah.
will say that, yeah.
But it's nothing too extreme, is it?
I mean, you've got a pause right now, so like it was fine, and then it froze up, and then got to where you are now. So we'll have to see how it keeps going.
Okay.
I would say, if anything, for both our guests' sakes, just have it queued up in another tab, so you could also follow along as well if it's not really easy for any of us to see it on our end.
Fair is enough, but let's see how it goes. Is it going well?
That's going
Welcome
better,
to
yeah.
Ghostwire Tokyo, a supernatural action-adventure thriller set in an eerie, haunting vision of Tokyo, with explosive first-person combat and dangerous monsters at its core.
Ooh.
After nearly all of Tokyo's population mysteriously vanishes, the city is flooded with supernatural creatures. Our story begins here, in the fallout of the vanishing. You awake in the deserted streets of Tokyo with an unknown voice inside your head and strange elemental powers coursing through your veins. Possessed by a mysterious spirit named Keiko, who has
It sounds
its
like
own
I'm hearing
agenda.
it in
You'll need
bubbles
to
right
work
now.
together to unravel the truth behind the disappearances and save the city from
Okay, something I like to say here. I don't know if some of these things are taking inspiration or just are actual from Asian legends or are taking inspiration. Because I think what we might have, I think one of them might be inspired by the slit-mouthed woman, or might very much be that. And
Yeah, I
and
know
so-
which one you're talking about.
Definitely.
yeah, and you know, as a fan of stuff like that, I like that here. Like, y'all know how much I love the show Gado, that pretty much combined medieval Europe lore with Shintoism / Buddhism, and y'all know how much I love that shit there. And I'm liking what this is doing here too, because I just find Asian lore to be unique and have a lot going for it, especially in this first-person shooter-like perspective that isn't necessarily using a gun, but pretty much has a lot of similarities to one. And I like that. I don't want to sound like a Sony fanboy, because I'm not. I like both consoles for their own reasons. But when it comes to one thing I gotta give Sony, they're going with a lot of experimental stuff here. And the fact that we're getting some more Japanese games, yes, as a fucking weeaboo I am, I'm liking this, makes me really want that console.
I would
Right.
say, like, without a doubt, European fantasy is kind of like the norm for a lot of things, just based on like Lord of the Rings. Even in the East, we've got things like the Soul series, where that's taking place from a lot of stuff that's Western. So it's natural that you're gonna have a Eastern style kind of game be considered a little bit more interesting on that fact alone. And I would say that yokai as a whole, in terms of like creatures, there's so many in Japan, even based on like the regions you come from, they're not all going to be the same. There's not all going to be shared legends. So the best thing this game could do is not only obviously introduce people to like yokai in terms of like their mythology, as well as like the history behind them, but also kind of bring them to the main stage in something that like a lot of people are going to like. Because I think, let's be honest, a lot of people are going to be more interested in something that's got a lot of graphics and flashy combat, and this definitely does both. So seeing something with this kind of fantasy aesthetic to it, with the budget it clearly has, I'd see this as a good way to expand on people's mythological kind of taste, as it were.
Yep, and the fact that it's a Japanese game, an actual Japanese game that's getting attention, I think this is also a good way to show that East Asian media is starting to get more of a following here in the States, because you have a bunch of Japanese and Korean shows on Netflix getting popularity. You have games like this that are getting a lot of traffic. That gives me hope, and this is gonna get people to check out the more obscure stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I think it has to do with not only just a Western media kind of failing to deliver on what people kind of want out of their media, and then just people just kind of taking an interest in other cultures. So I'd say right now
Oh,
is like
yeah.
the best time to really be expanding upon people's taste and stuff.
Oh, most definitely. Okay. But I wonder if there's gonna be any demons in this game, because a lot of these are yokai, but I'd also be interested if they would have thrown some demons in. Like, this is my Garo nerd coming in, because demons, I used to think demons were a Christianity thing, but doing some research in other lore, demons are also a part of other things like Shinto and Buddhism, which is why Garo has demons. And Makai, if you don't know, Makai is actually Japanese for demon realm. So I think it has potential to have some of these here. Like, maybe portray them as some of the darker threats. That, I think, would be really cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, yokai overall, I'd say they're less monsters and more just kind of spirits. However, I think a lot of the famous yokai, like Tengus and Kappas and stuff, are a little bit more monster focused. And then you have things like the Split Mouth Woman that are more spirit based. But
Yeah.
and then like Oni also like are a specific kind of, well, depending on who you ask, Oni are a specific kind of yokai, or in some media they're also portrayed as different from yokai. So it's all going to depend on like where they're going to be drawing their influences from. But like I think I looked over the trailer a little bit before I even came into the stream, and I think I did see a Tengu in the trailer. So definitely they're going to be having a pretty good expanse in terms of like what we'll be seeing for entities.
Yeah. I think that it has a lot of potential of what it can do here, because I just like that they're throwing some stuff in here. Shit, one of them looks like, I'm not one of those creepypasta nerds, but am I the only one that thinks one of those things looks like the fucking Slender Man?
Yeah, these guys with the umbrella definitely have a Slenderman-esque influence to them. Of course, they also kind of look like the I forget what the Silence, I think they're also called, from that's from Doctor Who, I believe. But yeah, that kind of white faceless kind of entity is probably one of the best creatures to add for Western audiences, because like we see that kind of design aesthetic a lot in our own horror. So having these be a pretty reoccurring enemy from what it looks like is a positive in my opinion.
Oh, I agree. The variety of villains, I think, gives this game a lot of potential to appeal to both East and West. You could tell these game developers, though they have their own country in mind, they're also trying to find ways to appeal to everywhere else. And that's a good thing.
And then also, well, I think the big hope I have is that we like a lot of the enemies have a lot of recycled movesets, because even like with the Soul series of games, a lot of enemies end up looking different, but then they have a lot of traits that translate across the games. And even with something like Skyrim, where you have like a lot of different enemies in terms of the variety, but a lot of them play pretty similar.
Yeah, and when you're doing, there's just with all the different stuff that you can get out of Japanese beliefs, there is potential for enemies to not only look and sound different, but also feel different to combat. Maybe even take different moves to take down. Like, I think an important thing with these types of games is to have everything serving a purpose. Like with a first-person shooter, all the guns in the sandbox should have a purpose. I think here, maybe all the moves should have their own purpose. Some moves should probably be stronger towards other enemies than they are towards others.
Well, I would say a big hope is that like how we take down these enemies doesn't become kind of, I guess, I was going to say commodified, but that wouldn't be the right word. I would say tedious would be better, because, for example, in Doom Eternal, you're seeing a lot of enemies will play different. Like a Whiplash plays different from an Imp, who plays different from a Marauder, who plays different from a Hell Tyrant. But a lot of them are able to be taken down in the same way in terms of just shooting them with their different weapons. But hopefully, like, because obviously with the yokai and how to deal with them, a lot of their stories are based on having to banish them or deal with them in a specific way. So because it's a game, there's probably going to be a centralized way to like banish them or kill them. But hopefully there are at least small inconveniences that the player is going to be able to fight against, but like they don't feel like they're being forced to do something specific to then deal with a specific enemy. Because I think obviously a lot of people like playing the way they want to, and I think this game's open world to some degree based on like a lot of the verticality and movement we're seeing. So that's one thing I'd say we'd have to be aware of.
Yeah, most definitely.
Nightmare. In Ghostwire Tokyo,
1 minute, it's free. 1 minute, it's freezing. Internet's still dog shit, so.
Yeah.
you'll harness an arsenal of powerful abilities.
Yeah, I can see straight from here, from just this interaction alone, that like it's probably gonna have like
Your
you'll have,
mystic
like,
art
certain
known
ways
as ethereal
to banish or exercise certain enemies.
Probably certain
Yeah.
ones. Well, I mean, from what you see, he kind of goes on the he kind of takes him from behind, so that maybe like banishment might be a stealth door or something.
channeling raw ether, such as wind, fire, and water.
Oh my god, it's
As the story unfolds, you'll learn
I
to
thought the same
upgrade and
thing.
master these abilities based on your play style,
One sec, Joey.
incorporating powerful core grounds and perfectly timed blocks, all to devastating effect.
なんだよこれ。
Alongside your abilities, you'll have a range of more traditional and mystical tools at your disposal. Traversal and exploration are a central part of Ghostwire Tokyo. And with the Tengu ability, players can grapple and maneuver through the city with ease. Areas of dense fog.
I'm not sure if you guys are as acquainted with Asian lore as I am, but if you could tell by his hand movements, the card thing that he and such, those are actual things in Japanese belief to banish spirits, if you guys are not aware. Like, for example, the shaman and stuff like, this is just an example. This is not how I got my knowledge. I've done my own research and I've seen it in other stuff. But like, you had the shaman in Satiko versus Kayako, which did the same thing. Those stuff with hands is a part of Japanese beliefs on how to combat them. Same goes for that card. And you can definitely tell that I'm not going to act like I'm the most acquainted person on Japanese mythos as a whole, but you can tell that the individuals involved with this game have done their research and are really taking advantage of adding that into a gameplay mechanic to make it at least seem fun.
Only harbor dark energy that drains your health, but are infested with deadly paranormal creatures. To clear these infected areas, you'll need to cleanse corrupted Torii gates scattered throughout the city.
Ah, yes, the Torii gates.
Joey, do you
And by
mind pausing?
freeing untethered souls, you'll acquire experience.
Huh?
Yeah, since they're talking about the Torii gates as sort of the main thing that you're gonna have to cleanse, I have a pretty good assumption that most likely these things are gonna be scattered around the world that you're gonna explore, and from there you're gonna have to be dealing with certain combat encounters, probably gonna be gauntlets of some kind where these creatures are blocking specific gates, or even wards of Tokyo itself are gonna be infested, and the more you kind of cleanse these gates, the like more open the world kind of becomes. Because I mean, if they're making a big point about it in the trailer here, that's probably going to be a big part of the gameplay loop, most likely.
Yeah, I think it will. What do you think? What do you think, Monarch? I forgot you changed your name from Galix to Monarch, but
No, yeah, that's fine. I agree with Zim 100%. It's probably going to be definitely where you have to clear whole whole areas, like streets or districts even, are going to be like, blocked off and whatnot, and you got to clear through them in order to sort of to fully cleanse, as this game would put it, of the supernatural presence there.
yeah,
Kind of like how Ghost of Tsushima does it, where there's like certain areas you got to defeat to clean, and then and then boom, it's clear. It's free.
yeah.
Well, also considering the fact with Tsushima, you were
upgrade.
able to clear things at your own pace wherever you wanted to go. So
Yeah.
we have to maybe see, like, hopefully the story isn't too linear, and the story is also designed so that you can actually work around things at your own pace and you're not having to be shoehorned into specific sequences. So if you want to play the game again, you're not going to keep going through the exact same sequence half a dozen or a dozen times.
Oh yeah, I agree with you there. Like, for example, recently I've been playing some Metroid Prime. Metroid Prime is fun, but one of the things I have noticed when you play it is, like, it's scripted as all hell. Like, when you go to the villa, when you go to the enemies, you can shoot them. Even when you leave that spot and have to backtrack, you come back to them in the same exact area doing the same exact shit. I don't want that out of this game because it gets repetitive, and then when you're lost, which due to a disability I've got, I can get lost in the game from time to time. It would get frustrating. So it doesn't have to be completely at random, but allow some difference to come in. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Your ethereal abilities. Throughout Tokyo, you'll discover strange distortions in reality known as antenna spaces, where time and space themselves cannot be trusted. The
Well,
only
isn't
way
that
to
fun?
complete your mission is to power through them. In this video, we want to bring together these.
It's doing loading again.
Yeah, I would say probably
Data
drop
internet
down
wants to
the
suck cock is
probably pause it.
The quality.
Lower down the quality, yeah, so that
Okay,
you're not
I'll do that when it's
going
done.
out of zone.
It'll run smoother.
Okay. Settings. Sub quality. Okay. Where should I put it at?
I put it at 720 or 480.
I'd say
Okay.
probably 480
What would you
probably
say?
best. Yeah, 480.
Okay, 480.
Mechanic.
Okay. Put it at
To show you the world's first extended gameplay preview of Ghostwire Tokyo.
Also, Joey, are you hearing that double audio right there?
We pick up in a moment.
Huh?
Are you hearing that double audio?
Yeah, I'm hearing it too.
Okay, let me
There's
see if
kind
I
of
can
an
fix
echo.
that. Let me see if I could fix that. Screen share. Too much. Okay. Do I click on share audio system or something? Because I know this has been an issue I've been having with it.
Yeah, you're gonna be sharing audio.
Okay, so let's see if this fixes the problem.
Keto and Keiki have been separated,
No,
leaving it with only his.
same
That didn't
thing,
fix.
same issue. No, same issue.
Maybe it's. I
Are
think
you?
it must be.
What's it called? Are you using your Do you have you don't have a headset on, so the audio's coming out of your computer, right?
Okay, let me put a headset on to see if that fixes
Yeah,
it.
Yeah,
That's
your mic
probably
is
why.
probably picking it up.
exactly, and then regurgitating it back out. We'll see if that works.
Okay.
Wits and traditional
Oh,
weapons.
man.
No,
For some reason,
Keto must track the spirit
For
down.
some reason, it's not playing in my headset.
Sneak attacks and core grabs are a great.
I usually put headset onto my phone, but I'm not too acquainted. How do I get this to work on a computer?
by your headset.
Yeah,
Is it like a Bluetooth or is it like a?
it's not a Bluetooth. It's a cord. I have it hooked
Um,
up.
cord?
Yeah, I have it hooked up,
Plugged
but for
up, but
some
it's not
reason.
going through.
Yeah, I have a-
You're gonna have to check in your audio settings and see where the audio is feeding to.
Yeah, at most times you're gonna have to
You're
do
gonna
it.
have
You
to
have to change it
manually
over
change it, yeah.
manually. It doesn't do it automatically.
Okay. Wait. I have an idea. Would you guys still able to hear it if I turned it down on my end, but listened to it on my phone?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably.
Let me.
We'll
I
see
tried
if it
turning it
works. However, if anything, We could try sharing it on mine since my connection's stabler and see if that works.
Try sharing it on yours. Try sharing it on yours. We're at the 4-minute and 3-second mark. I know I'm very ignorant on this stuff, but I'm still learning how to get all this completely done.
Let me just get another link going real quick. And
okay.
Let's see. Go. There we go. Let's see. And you said we're at 4 minutes and what?
4 minutes and 3 seconds.
4 minutes, 3 seconds. Actually, let's go back to the full sequence. So it's just going to be a little ways back, but at least we'll see how this sequence kind of plays out a little bit better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let me share this. Share screen. Video. There, I'm sharing it.
Okay, add to stream. Oh, okay.
Is that good?
Yep, that's good.
Okay. Let me see. I'm going to go in. Let's see. Just tell me to stop if either you can't hear the audio or it's really choppy.
Oh, okay.
How's that?
I can't hear the
audio.
audio.
It's not choppy, but can't hear the audio.
Can't hear the audio? Okay. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm just going to scoot that back. Okay. Stop sharing. Audio.
Okay, let's try.
Okay. Alrighty. Let's see. How about now?
Nope.
I still can't hear it.
You still can't hear it? Okay. Then what I'm probably gonna have to do is I have to probably do it this way. All right. Share audio. Yes. Okay. Okay. We're going stream section. Can you see this now or no?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. How about now?
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. We're just gonna have to do it this way then. So just gonna hide that.
Moment where Akito and KK have been separated, leaving Akito with only his wits and traditional weapons. Akito must track the spirit down. Sneak attacks and core grabs are a great way to clear your path without attracting unwanted attention.
Oh, okay. So we're actually going to get into the whole horror aspect.
Yeah. Which it has potential because I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but this was originally going to be a sequel to The Evil Within, and you guys remember The Evil Within, right?
Oh.
I've never played it, but yeah, I'm pretty familiar with it.
Yeah, this was made by Shinji Mikami's company and was going to be a sequel to The Evil Within, but they decided to make it its own game, which many people probably don't remember this, but Evil Within is a Japanese game, so it makes a lot of sense. Only difference is it followed American people. While this is going for more East Asian lore with Japanese people, and I like that. And Evil Within had a lot of intense fucking moments, so though this obviously is action-adventure, there's also horror there too, and with it be following that, I think we could get a wonderful blend here, especially since with Japanese lore. I don't know, Japanese lore is just a really perfect blend of action horror. Again, I'm going to go nerd about Garo again, but Garo is a perfect example of how Shintoism / Buddhism can make really good blend of action horror because you got some really fucked up shit going on with the demons and stuff like that. But then you have the ways of cleansing the demons, the over-the-top ways of cleansing the demons that comes in Japanese lore that makes up for some really good action aspect to follow a badass protagonist to take them down.
Right.
Mhm. As well as I also
Which,
know
if you look at this guy's face, you can just tell he's got badass anime protagonist all over him.
I mean, the man
Yep.
wears a fanny pack like a backpack on his front, so of course, he's looking a little bit more like an anime pro tag.
Badass.
Yeah.
Let me start it again.
Just keep on walking.
Looks like the cube from fucking Hellraiser.
遅えんだよ、ノロマナ。
助けに来るって分かってたような口ぶりだな。
助け？何様のつもりだ？俺の力が必要だから来た。そういうことだろ。
で、来るんだろ一緒に。
人に物を頼む態度じゃねえな。
頼んではいない。取引だ。お互い拒否はできない。
後悔すんなよ。
What was that face, bro?
Yeah, I'd say the animation.
I'm sorry. What was that? I just.
I guess,
can tell you
well,
this-
we don't really know who he is. I'm assuming he's the same guy with the Oni mask on, but like we're not sure what his relation is, either if he's a spirit or he's a person who's experienced this before. We don't really know, but I guess this is probably most likely going to be the first or one of the first missions you're going to get in the game, because this looks like something that's going to get tutorialized like right afterwards, but I don't know.
Yeah. I think that is the spirit that connects with him, because I think I'm pretty sure this is the beginning of the game, as you stated. I think that is the spirit that kind of possesses him, that he uses to take down the dark yokai, but has his own dark motives that he obviously doesn't agree with, because I'm sure you guys heard the commentary where she said that he has his own agenda going for him. So when it comes to their dynamic, it's not going to be anything friendly, which I think could really make an interesting story that goes on here, since they both have their own motives and they're just using one another to get said motive done.
Well, probably, if anything, there's a good chance that either if there's like branching choices and dialogue and stuff for the game, then most likely there might be endings where he is or isn't a final boss of some kind.
Yeah, which could work.
Yeah.
I think that could make some really interesting. I think the best gaming campaigns tend to have it where the story is makes sense with the gameplay. That's what makes a really good campaign, is if either one complements one another, and if we get him as a boss fight, just being he has a strong connection to the lead character, that could make it all the more effective.
Yeah, exactly. It may be like have either of you played Dishonored?
I have not.
Oh, a long time ago.
Yeah, so based on like the relationship those two are having, it may be that he may have a similar kind of role that the Outsider played for Corvo in Dishonored, however, on a much more active scale, in my opinion, because if he's getting his abilities from this guy, then we'll probably hear some dialogue between the two, as well as him sort of commenting on the protagonist actions in a way.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Devilman and Amon type of thing. Akira and Amon making Devilman. They're not friends, but essentially they are one, and he uses him to battle demons. Only here, the person who has control of his body has his own will.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of like I don't know if you guys ever played the game. Have you ever heard of the game or played the game Slaughterhouse?
I heard of it, but I
Heard of
haven't
it,
played
but not played it.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of like that relationship, with the whole like the mask. He's got his own will and all that, but like the guy's got to use his power to save the girl and whatnot. But the mask was not without his ulterior motives. And I don't know about you, but I felt what's his name, the smoky dude. I forgot his name already. He's got some ulterior motives. He's got an ulterior motive face.
Yeah, he definitely looks like either a character is going to be like impacting him in terms of like directly opposing his goals, or everything the protagonist does is in service to his own goals.
He might end up being the final guy that we fight.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. And if we get some more dialogue like that throughout the game, which I hope it does, I think that'll make the boss fight all the more epic.
Indeed.
Because we need a good, frenemy dynamic, and by that I mean where they don't like each other, but when it comes to their
They'll work
motives,
with each other.
Yeah, they have to work with each other to kind of serve the other's needs, so to speak.
However, I think the best thing that's going to be done is showing why our Smoky Man here actually needs our protagonists, and seeing if the protagonist can either have some kind of leverage over it or see like how they can be challenged in some way, because I think that's going to be important to set up the dynamic, especially if they're going to be running into confrontations with each other a lot. We'll see.
Yeah, most definitely.
I'll start the play again.
Oh, I've seen her before.
仲良くしてやってくれよ。
仕方ねえな。遊んでやる。
Is that the little bitch from Dark Water?
KK, you can use his powers again and gain access to devastating supercharged attacks. From now on, as you fight, you'll charge your synergy with KK. At full charge, you can enter wire-in mode to boost your powers.
Ooh.
It definitely looks like so his name's KK. Okay, so I get this looks like some kind of super mode that you're probably gonna be able to access. Because it looks like that's a mechanic where once you're in this mode, you're able to get a whole ton of extra resources out of it. I'm not sure like how important that will be in the grand scheme of it all, but we'll see.
Yeah. Essentially, what we're getting here is a lot of reveal, a lot of cool concepts, but it's also leaving enough there ambitious for speculation.
To grapple between buildings, you'll need to latch on to the nearest Tengu yokai. These creatures are not only the fastest way to get around, but they also open a new dimension to the city.
I think Doom Eternal popularized the grappling hook thing because ever since Doom Eternal came out with that, a lot of people liked it, including myself, and now other games are using it, such as Halo Infinite, and now this.
I would say definitely with the specifically for first person stuff, without a doubt. Of course, we had seen grappling stuff in other games in the past, but yeah,
like
it does
the Arkham
seem like
Batman games.
Yeah, the Arkham games. Even Spider-Man's web slinging to a degree is similar to the grapples in that way.
Oh yeah, I thought that too.
But we'll kind of see how that, or even the hook shot too is another one I was thinking of for Nintendo.
Yeah,
but we'll see how it goes. In terms of like, because it seems that you're gonna have to use Tengu specifically to travel around, so I guess they are neutral parties. But I'm not sure if like it would be interesting if these other yokai are able to kill the Tengu that are around here, and therefore that cuts off a bit of your mobility in a way.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, because if these are like enemy, it would be even more interesting if on harder modes, like they're directly within conflict with other spirits. So like it's up to you to make sure you can save them, so you're not having to travel between zones as much. And it may be something where like even if they die, they may take a while and it's an inconvenience for you. But if you wait long enough, after a while they will respawn. But you have to like leave the area and wait for like the zone to load out and then load back in with a newly spawned one. But I don't know, just it seems interesting. Like conceptually, it's interesting that they're using the Tengu as part of your mobility, but also I'm not sure if it feels like a way to give it a flavor, but then limit your traversal in that way or not. I don't know.
It's essentially it can go either way.
Mm-hmm.
Just ahead. Cleanse it to clear out some of the sinister fog throughout the city.
Man, I love the fast-paced movement.
As you progress, your powers will grow, and with many enemy archetypes to fight,
With the freaking bow and arrow, it kind of reminds me of Crisis 3.
take on these
Yeah.
supernatural threats.
Oh, that's interesting.
Explore the city, and you'll also find other tools and weapons, like these talismans, to expand your combat.
I can't pause it for a second. The story here kind of reminds me of a J-horror movie called Pulse. It's definitely very different overall. Like Pulse doesn't have it where you're getting possessed, where you're kind of fusing with a spirit that disagrees with you to fight other spirits of the type. But the thought of pretty much a spirit apocalypse happening is what reminds me of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys seen
I haven't seen the
Pulse?
movie myself, so I can't comment on it. But yeah, I mean, that could be something they took inspiration from.
Yeah, I think there is a good chance that they took some inspiration from Pulse here, which, if you haven't seen Pulse, it is a really good movie. It actually has a lot to say about loneliness and such. And I mean, like I said, it's not a ripoff by any means, because this is pretty much battling hordes and hordes of yokai and such, while Pulse was pretty much trying to survive the lonely city that Japan has become due to the afterlife being overflooded by spirits. So, essentially, letting everyone sink in their own loneliness by turning it all into a spirit apocalypse.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I also want to say I do kind of like the techno-esque music to it. Like it's definitely setting itself. Obviously, we brought up Doom a lot, so it draws a lot of differences from Doom in the sense of not only are we fighting yokai instead of like more traditional Western demons, but also the music's more of a techno, like Asian influence kind of music to it versus the more bombastic Western mixed with like monastic chanting and all that.
Yeah, some people might see this as, What, Monarch?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I thought you said something. When it comes to this, some people might see this as a stretch, but if I was to sum up from what I'm seeing here, this is kind of like East Asian Doom. Like, for example, instead of guns, like guns would be more like an American thing, you got all the shit like sorcery, hand movement,
Yeah, magic.
and techniques. Yeah, magic to take down the spirits. And instead of demons, you got the more traditional Asian spirits to come into battle. And just like in Doom, you're not a normal person. You got the help of a spirit. While in Doom, you were pretty much helped by hell priest to become a demigod.
Yeah, well, yeah, technically. It definitely that comparison is pretty apt. However, it also is carrying over other more modern traits like that weapon wheel. It's similar to Doom's, however, in terms of that talisman, it looks like it's like a item usage kind of thing. So it kind of reminds me of the abilities you can get in the PlayStation Spider-Man game. So
Yeah.
that might be something they're taking influence of, but I would say it's also nice that the game's in first person rather than a lot of PlayStation fare like this, where it's over the shoulder kind of. It allows me to get a better sense of the combat. And also
that's
with the
really
hand
what
movements, it gives you something that's flashing on screen.
Yeah, that's really what separates Xbox and PlayStation exclusives. Is Xbox exclusives are usually in first person, while PlayStation exclusives are usually over the shoulder, which I don't mind that. I love first person games. I love third person games. I just love fucking gaming. But it is nice to see a first person PlayStation game for a change, because it's just a nice change of pace overall.
Exactly, yeah. As well as I'd also think that with this game,
But yeah,
it's less of a power fantasy like Doom. Of course, you're still going to be wrecking house and all that, but it definitely seems like the protagonist is definitely more of a set character rather than sort of an insert for you, the player, to inhabit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You definitely want to feel that the character that you're playing as is more than just the character that you're playing as. You know, more than just a meat body for you to inhabit, and just decide to go all wiggle waggly, shoot at the demon things.
Well, in the Slayer's defense, I think overall, though you're playing as him and he's overall silenced, I think being a silenced protagonist kind of benefits him in the way of making him seem like a threat who just lives to kill. And Doom Eternal and Doom 2016 really dived into that when you got more into his background, the lore, and even in Eternal, you even learned that he actually was set insane by the demons.
Yeah, but I mean, like, he's still not an active character in that sense. What, like, any kind of emotion outside of, like, we see in cutscenes is still primarily being input onto the character by us, the players, based on our knowledge. While in this case, with a character who is speaking, they are going to be deciding their actions for themselves. So it's going to be less inference and more of actual, we know what this person is thinking.
Yeah, this is more of the Slayer is just a destroyer. He's a killing machine that lives to kill. This guy, you get the vibe of being more human than the Slayer, as he has more to his personality. And I'm not trashing the Slayer at all. I'm sorry. I'm not trashing the Slayer at all. I'm just saying that this guy has a more human type personality. Is that the word I'm looking for?
I guess, for lack of another word, human personality.
Yeah, because this guy actually talks, while the Slayer, all he yells is "rip and tear,"
and no, occasionally.
Yeah, but that's because he was set crazy by the demons. Don't worry, the Slayer is an awesome character. That's very interesting. But I like that, though this is kind of like Japan's Doom. At the same time, it's not trying to be a ripoff of Doom by any way, shape, or form. It's its own thing.
Yeah, like with games like Doom and Doom Eternal, you feel like the threat. You know you are the threat. Like any big ass demons can come at you, and you'd be all like, "Shh, I got this." Whereas with this game, that's not the case. Like in this game, you see these creatures, these yokai, these demons, and you know that they're the threat, and you're like, the vibe I get is this character is doing what he can to survive in this desolate city filled with supernatural creatures that he probably didn't even believe in until, like a minute ago.
Yeah. It all just came out of the blue, so that kind of makes it all the more surprising in that regard. Like, for example, on the first few minutes, I think it would be nice if we get some gameplay and before we kind of merge with the spirit, just so there's a part where you actually feel the vulnerability of being a human in this sudden change of a world.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But anyway, let's move on.
Using spectral vision, you're able to sense visitors and other points of interest as you make your way through Tokyo.
Kind of like Halo Infinite.
Okay, so that's just been like a thing ever since like Assassin's Creed came out. You could like use some kind of like special sense to highlight certain areas.
Okay, but Halo Infinite's what I played most recently when it comes to that.
I just played Dying Light 2 recently. It's got something similar.
I haven't even played the first Dying Light, believe it or not.
初公開のゴーストワイヤー東京プレイ映像楽しんでいただけましたでしょうか。本日ご紹介したのは本作のほんの一部です。まだまだお見せしていない要素がたくさんありますので楽しみにお待ちください。ゴーストワイヤー東京は3月25日発売予定です。
I've seen that thing before too.
I did not like that at all.
It's creepy as fuck. It's really showing the action horror aspect of the game, which is nice. It's nice because J-horror can be really fucking freaky, and from the looks of it, this is keeping it is keeping the freakiness of that intact of this game. It is taking advantage of that shit. And I've seen that thing before. I can't remember its name, but I've seen it before.
Shinobi outfit. Oh, wow.
I just hope that, like, well, I'm looking at that. That looks like they're getting a weapon as well. That's probably going to be the skin for another weapon. I just hope that, like, a weapon with its own unique playstyle to it isn't something that's going to be locked behind a deluxe edition. Because, again, I don't know how much the deluxe edition will be, but that's one thing I hope for. Because, I mean, I don't mind people paying more for, like, bigger, better versions of games, but as long as it's, like, cosmetics or, like, outside stuff like art books and statues, stuff like that, is fine. But then if you're putting away mechanics that are specifically like and specially designed, then that's something I don't usually like, but we'll see.
I agree with you. Like, for example, I enjoy Destiny 2, but one of the things that the Ackman pointed out that I completely agree with is the main game, which is the main game's free now, so that's fine. But when it first came out, what they were doing, they were essentially giving you a Big Mac with no cheese, no topping, no even just one fucking burger, and be like, here, take it for full price. And then if you want the rest of that, pay more, pay $20 more. And I don't like when games do that. But if it's just giving you extra things like stuff that one came out later, or two, maybe giving you some stuff like skins that doesn't really do much for the game, but maybe slightly enhance the price you paid, then okay, go for it.
All right. Oh, okay, so you got more options of the drip.
Yeah, hopefully that, like, okay, so actually this is what it shows right here. So it looks like you're getting Shinobi outfit, weapon,
kunai,
and then the streetwear.
Oh, the weebs are gonna be happy. In all fairness, that
the option of
in all honest, jokes aside, it does look fucking cool.
It's interesting that it's going to be a digital deluxe edition. I'm
not a digital guy, so
I have an issue with digital. Like, for me personally, the issue is that even when you get something that's digital, if you pay for it, you're technically not buying the game. You're buying to essentially rent it for, like,
I don't like
you're essentially
digital,
full-time renting. Unlike most games, if you buy a physical copy, then you are indeed actually buying the game itself. And that's the big issue, is that now with having to download your games directly, you're essentially just paying for rented stuff rather than actually paying for the game itself. So the whole digital deluxe has been like one of those things where, pay more money, you also get more things, but you're going to have to use the digital version, which as a physical consumer and someone who cares more about consumer rights, I don't really like it. But I guess it's just something I want to always keep in
Mhm.
mind all the time. But
I agree with you because a lot of people give me shit for this, but I'm a physical media guy. This is why I'm not gonna deny that a expensive PC performs better, but I'll always be a console guy because PC doesn't have physical copies anymore, and
yeah,
True.
you can buy a digital copy if you want. I don't care, but the thing is, it just doesn't feel right. It feels about as satisfying as buying a bootleg physical copy. You don't feel like you own it. And that's my
Mhm.
problem. When it comes to downloading the disc, from what I gathered, when you insert the disc in, what it does, it's downloading the game just so it could. What it's doing is reading the code off the disc, just so it could pretty much download that version on your hard drive as well. So if the disc gets broken, you can buy a new one, and no progress or anything will be lost. And it allows it where it could provide whatever updates the game needs later to come and get that wasn't on the disc. So I'm fine with that on
Right.
physical copies, but digital as a whole, I like digital for streaming services. I love Game Pass, and if PlayStation does one that's as good as Game Pass, I'll love that too. But what I use Game Pass and stuff like that for is shit like I do with Netflix. I watch or play in this case, see if I want to own it, and then bam, I pick it up. I don't like when stuff try to bring like, hey, forget about that physical stuff. Buy it digitally. No, I'm not doing that. I don't like digital when it comes to
Yeah,
that. Digital is good for streaming services.
digital.
That's it.
The whole digital copies existing and all that, or instead of getting actual physical copies, is a bit of a dumb move. I mean, I say that, but I've like downloaded games mainly just because I don't want to go to the store. But I do plan on getting physical copies for all my, digital downloads, obviously, because there will come the day where that's not gonna work anymore, and then they're gonna be like, oh shit, we should have kept with the physical copies.
Yep, and even let's say the digital copy worked forever, it's still not going to feel as satisfying as actually owning the disc.
yeah. But the big issue with that is that like not a lot of people really care. I guess
True.
it just speaks to the apathy of people when it comes to what they consume. And as long as they're getting what they want, they're not really gonna care what else may
Yeah.
happen in the future. Like I mean, for me personally, I don't mind Steam. I think it's a good service in terms of how easy you're able to access things. But again, there's a lot of ways that Steam's been able to bar people from using the games that they bought for. So just for me, I would say just to sort of not for us to go too much of a tangent here. The one thing I'd have to say is that with digital media, it's just an easy way to allow companies to have more control over what you can and can't have from your media, as well as barring you from using the media that you paid for. So that's just something to keep in mind. I hopefully the kunai weapon is just a skin and it's not an actual new weapon.
I will say when it
Because
comes
it
to
looks cool. It looks cool.
It looks cool and like
use it.
because right now we've only seen the bow, so I'm not sure if we're gonna get other weapons outside of the bow. But
I will say when it comes to the deluxe edition, though, that if you when it comes to if the deluxe edition is the only thing digital, like for example, you could if you buy the disc itself and it comes with a digital copy of a deluxe edition code, you still need the disc to run that deluxe edition. So maybe if you insert the code, if you pretty much put the disc in and download the code on the game, the disc it'll be treated as a part of that physical disc. And let's say if you turn on something like the Ancient Gods mode of Doom Eternal, if you take the disc out, since it is still technically a part of that, it was technically downloaded onto that disc, it's gonna turn off.
Right.
yeah.
So it's still physical, just digital. You're putting digital enhancements on it. So I'm fine with a digital deluxe edition. So as long as you're able to do that on the physical copy, I'm fine.
Yeah. Anyway, it
also
seems
wanna
we
say
still
that
got a bit more.
Like the Shinobi outfit, like it has kind of that neo-futuristic aesthetic to it. It's not like a classical Shinobi gear, which I have to say I do like the art direction of the game. It's not something you see very often with a lot of modern stuff. So outside of just obviously cool that we're seeing yokai and more stuff. This whole aesthetic that they're going with is pretty cool too.
Yeah, I agree. It's just really going into the whole East Asian lore thing, which I'm a sucker for. Granted, when you watch a lot of Japanese media, you get it a lot, but for me, it never gets old when it's executed properly. I have no issue with Christianity or anything, and I think there's a lot of good things in writing that can be done with Christianity, like Kamen Rider Gaim. A lot of the stuff in its story was taken from stuff in the Bible, like Adam and Eve. I won't spoil anything. But I think when it comes to the core beliefs of Shintoism / Buddhism versus the core beliefs of Christianity, I think there's more crazy shit you can do with Japanese mythos, which is why I'm a sucker for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's why, like, for example, here, fantasy horror, you have stuff like Insidious, because it's taking the more fantasy aspects of the Bible. While in Japan, fantasy horror, you have stuff like Garo, which also blends action with it. That just goes to show the craziness of beliefs in comparison, that our fantasy horror is just horror, while Japan's fantasy horror also includes action aspects.
Right.
Which this is another example of that. You're playing as a badass protagonist taking down the threats.
Oh, there's our guy.
Shinji Mikami. Well, it is his company after all. If you guys don't know who Shinji Mikami is, he created Resident Evil and The Evil Within.
東島です。
藤井純也と申します。
村越卓と申します。
プログラマーの奥川剛。
Moonspeak!
じゃあちょっと難易度高めの質問で、ゴーストワイヤー東京を一言で表
Am I the only one getting Shin Godzilla politician vibes here with this room? Because that's what it looks like. Looks like these motherfuckers are talking about how to take down Godzilla.
その心は
いちごのショートケーキって日本の日の丸のデザインから発想されてて、実は日本製のもので、日本のスタジオで日本が舞台のゲーム、誰にでも愛されるゲームっていうところで、甘いところもあったりする。いちごのショートケーキというイメージです。
はい。じゃあ続いて一言で表すと何でしょ
う。ゴーストワイヤーを一言で表すと、パラノーマルかなって私は思います。
本当に一言で言うんだったらリアル東京っていう感じですね。
世界に関しては、現実の東京をこう感じれるそのリアリティを出すっていう方向性なんですけど、そうすることによって不思議な現象だったりすごく奇妙な敵だったりっていうのが際立つ世界なんじゃないかなと。
ゴーストワイヤーという名前が指す通りですね、ワイヤーというのが一つの大事な要素っていう風になってます。で、ワイヤーを使って様々なアクションをして、敵をしばき倒す。そこのところの気持ちよさっていうところを大事にして詰めていってるっていう形です。
タンって結構そのホラーゲームばっかり作ってきて、今回アクションアドベンチャーっていうジャンルで、音作りとしてはどういうところが結構作り変わってくるか聞きたいんだけど、どうぞ。
ホラーだとユーザーの心理をこう絞り上げるみたいな、締め付けるみたいな、そういう生理的なところまで入っていくような音色をチョイスすることが多いんですけど、今回のアクションアドベンチャーだとプレイヤーにもっとヒロイックになってボスに挑んでもらいたいとか、好奇心を持って街中を探検してもらいたいみたいな、そういうポジティブな心境になってほしくて、そういうところを狙ってサウンドをチョイスしていったかなっていうところはありますね。
案ずるな。
Okay, I just noticed that it was like Kai is the name of the other guy, so it looks like this guy, Hanaya, and then
Hanya.
Kai are two different people.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
But then again,
at first I
don't
thought they
know.
were the same character, but now that since we have subtitles for their names, these are two different people. So probably they might be the same entity too, or he might be another possessed human. So
I do gotta say, I'm pretty sure this guy is the biggest threat because, first of all, that Oni mask kind of presents him as the most intimidating out of what we've seen, while the others, though, are creepy. They feel more like goons, while this guy, especially considering he can talk and what he's currently doing on what we're looking at, he's gonna be the big bad of the game, I think.
He's also the most human, actually. Like, all the other enemies all are a lot more exaggerated in terms of the proportions, but outside of his mask and his skin color, he appears to have the most human-like shape. So there might be a chance that for fighting him at the end, he might have a very if he's gonna have like multiple stages to his boss fight, we might go from a pretty like standard, almost like weaver kind of battle between the two until he may transform or something, since that's a staple for a lot of Asian media. But it's just interesting to note. Anyone else want to add anything before I play again?
Yeah, so the vibe that I get from this guy right here is he could be one of, I got theories, and he could be one of either. Either one, he's a completely separate character, you know, the main baddie, you know, something or other. Two, he is KK, but he's taken on a different appearance and he's taken on a different name. Or three, since two is definitely probably the less likely considering KK is with us. Three, he could probably be like, he probably knows KK, or he could be like the darker side to him if we're going to be focusing on KK being like a major character for this game. Like this guy right here, he could be like his dark half, you know, like separated, and now like, of course, you know, he's trying to like maybe like take over the world or something, and so KK's gotta, you know, he's gotta join our character, and they gotta work together to beat this guy, and then at the final moments before we claim victory, KK decides, haha, surprise, bitch, he was me all along. I've just been wanting to get back with my other half for so long, and now we're going to reconnect and become the ultimate being. Essentially what Virgil did in Devil May Cry 5 with Urizen.
Yeah, there's a good chance that may be a Virgil Urizen-esque what's it called, twist to it. That's very likely. Again, they're not showing us a whole lot, so there's a lot of theories up in the air, and especially because it's not a like established franchise where we can draw on like past entries for their lore. I'd say whatever twist, regardless on whether or not it's like a cliche style twist, it's still gonna be a twist regardless.
One of my theories of the twist here is maybe this guy might not be exactly KK. He might be another evil spirit that pretty much took possession either completely of another human, or maybe he made a deal with a more evil human, like a serial killer or something, and their goal is to pretty much just kill whatever is in sight. Like, he might be just like you. That's one of my theories.
Yeah, that's what I'm also kind of leaning on too. But also, it's interesting to note that with KK doesn't have discolored skin, as well as also looking at his nails. His nails are black, so there's a good chance that this may just be a spirit just taking the form of a human, while KK probably was or is human to some degree. In terms of or it may just be a stylistic choice, or it might be explained like either like their connection, this human's connection to this entity is different, so that's why the changes are shown there. We don't know, but this is all interesting to think about.
Yeah, because my theory is he's your equal, as in he took full possession of a human, or he decided to, or this dark entity decided to make a deal with a serial killer or something, like similar to how Carnage merged with Cletus Cassidy.
Yeah. It could also, like you said, it could just be some poor sod who was overtaken by an evil spirit. And now this evil spirit is looking like he's about to do some questionable things to this girl right here.
This may be someone that they both have a
Monarch.
connection to as well, so maybe the trailer will
know-
explain more. So let's keep going.
Right.
Look like he's about to grab her boob.
I don't
Yes.
want that.
ゴーストアイを作
Oh,
る
so clearly they
okay.
have-
So that's our reason. We
Yes.
have a girlfriend or sister or crush that we're trying to save from this pale skin, black fingernail, Tokyo ghoul looking ass guy. Okay.
Exactly, yeah. So it may be that it's two friends who have been taken over, and one might have just indulged in it while the other's kind of doing it, but like kind of still resisting and keeping his humanity. So that kind of
Right.
explains it there. Again, we still don't know, but at least we do know that the kind of crux of these two's dynamic is saving this girl.
Yep.
上ですごく影響を受けたまあゲームとかアニメ漫画とあれば、お聞かせください。
浮世絵とかですかね。昔の妖怪とか幽霊とか書いてあるじゃないですか。
ゲーテの戯曲のファウスト、
ソラリス、
クランプさんの X とか、東京バビロンとかコミックとか、
ホニー・ウィリス先生の口論。
今回やっぱり和楽器を使うことが多かったので、日本の音楽は相当聴きましたね。雅楽のアルバムだったり、能の舞台だったりとか。
あと最後が瀬名秀明先生のブレインバレー。
後半僕はあんまりそこまで本に詳しくないのでさっぱりついていけなかったですけど。バトルのシステムや、演出表現、等ですごくこうアピールしたいことがあればどうぞ。
ゴーストワイヤー東京は手の力っていうのが非常に重要な要素になっていて、手の力を使って風の印だったりですとか水の印ですとか炎の攻撃、こういったものをですね駆使しながら困難に立ち向かっていって、楽しんでもらえたらなっていうふうに思っております。
好みによっていろんな属性の武器を使ってプレイできるっていうのはすごいいいとこ面白いかなと思ってますね。
ハンドアクションのこういう構図がすごくかっこよくできてて、それも結構その他のゲームとは違う戦い方、魅力ってかっこよさにつながってて、僕個人は作ってる間あれ言うのもあるんですけど、めっちゃ気に入ってる。
Of course, the game is like very much Asian influence, but this just kind of occurred to me. I'm not sure if either of you two feel the same way, but the kind of like how this like the spells launch, it gives kind of a Harry Potter vibe, but unlike with Potter where they're kind of flicking their wands about and like either blue, green, or red energy comes out. Since the hands are there, it gives it a lot more interesting feel to it.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, I see it there.
yeah, like I got more of a kind of like a Skyrim vibe.
I got more
Harry
of a
Potter vibe.
Well, the only reason I'm thinking
got
Harry
more-
Potter is because with how he's flicking his arms around, it's kind of got that same frenetic energy. Because with Skyrim, like a lot of the times you're either shooting something out of your hands or it's just kind of bursting out and it's kind of staying there stationary. But I'm not
Yeah,
like I've seen some of the Potter
there's-
fights and like they'll kind of whip their hands around for this spell or that, and their hands will kind of move, but because everything's coming out of the wand, it's a lot more static. Well, in this case, you're seeing his fingers kind of curl for an attack, or he'll wave his hands around, create a sign, and then shoot, which also has a bit of Naruto influence as well to it.
Yeah,
But I would say the colors are what reminded me of Potter as well as sort of the hand motions. But because you're not using a wand to execute the magic like this, it's a lot more frenetic and just visually more appealing.
Yeah, like I sort of noticed of like how like whenever he would use like those like ether spells or whatever.
Do you want me to
his
scroll back while you're
hands-
talking to show it off, or no?
Huh?
Do you want me to scroll back so like people can see what you're referring
Yeah,
to?
yeah,
or not?
yeah.
Okay.
Like as you can see, he's just like it's kind of like fluid. You can see fluid movements with his hands. You know, all like as he does these spells. You know, just the straight fluidity and the kind of like basically kind of like he's bending. Basically.
Yeah, it does kind of have a bending feel to it. However,
Which again is something that like Avatar and Korra are known for. Is just like you can see the fluidity of their hand movements as they do their attacks and all that, and which is a nice touch. It's a nice feature, and it's also in this game, which is also I would like to think is a nice callback to such thing. And of course, Harry Potter. If now that you mention it, I think back on it, I can kind of see like the flick of the wrists, the fluidity of when they do the spells with their hands, even if they're like holding a wand and there's no like finger movement. But with this game, you can see him moving his fingers, his hands, and all that, and it's pretty neat. It's kind of like, actually, now that I think about it, it kind of reminds me of like when Doctor Strange does his hand movements.
Yeah, it does kind of have that. However, with Strange, a lot of the times he's usually like those rings around his like hands usually obscure the motions there.
Because
and even
so,
then,
like,
Strange's magic
really
has a lot
it.
of Asian influence to it as well. And I would say the bending too. Obviously, Avatar is definitely inspired by Asian culture. However, with the bending, it's a lot more like you're doing a martial arts kata rather than sort of like the hand motions there.
Well, that's because. Well, first of all, I'll say something. I'll go on to my points here, but when it comes to Monarch, the way you're describing the fluent hand movements and fingers and that, it sounds like
fluid hand movements.
Yeah, it sounds like you're wanting him to jerk you off or some shit.
No. I don't know, man. Those hands, they'd be looking kind of, I'd hold hands with that, man.
Oh my. But yeah, when it comes to Avatar The Last Airbender, the whole point of Avatar The Last Airbender is very influenced of Shinto and Buddhist lore as a whole, along with martial arts, which is one of the reasons why I really enjoyed Avatar The Last Airbender, is its usage of martial arts and Buddhist lore. Of course, it exaggerated its Buddhism, but all stuff does that, and I like that. Another thing that I already brought up before that reminded me of was Garo, but that's because, like I said, Garo pretty much combined aspects of medieval Europe with Shinto and a Shinto/Buddhist lens. And another thing that you could compare it to is stuff like Shang-Chi, which I actually really enjoyed Shang-Chi. I think it's one of the best Marvel movies we had in years. So seeing that in a game, like, I don't know if there's any game I've ever played that actually took advantage of all the crazy shit in Buddhist mythos, like what we're getting here till now.
Right.
Well, wait, repeat that. Repeat what you just said.
I can't really think of a game that actually took advantage of the usage of Buddhist/Shinto mythos till now. I usually see
like
it
Okami?
in, huh?
Okami, what's it called? There was the Dark Souls-esque game, Neo and Okami.
Neo!
Okay, oh yeah, I heard of that. I haven't played it yet for myself, but I have heard of that indeed.
And to a degree, I mean, like, although it's less direct. Ghost of Tsushima does have its Shinto elements to it and represents them historically very well. I can think of others, but like they're not games I've really played. So, but like the two I can think of that were like really, really popular and somewhat recent. Okami's not as recent, but like definitely Okami and definitely Neo.
Yeah, certainly. But because the thing is, but I think this is the first time we're actually getting something with the hand movements and all these crazy ass abilities to cleanse spirits. And like, I only seen that in movies. I haven't really seen it in a game yet. I'm sure it happened in games, but could you really think of anything where you have to take out the spirits in anything more than a gun or hand-to-hand combat?
Like, I'm not well, I haven't really played Neo too much, and I haven't really delved too much in its mechanics. However, to a degree, Sekiro has some elements of that, but the magic is less direct because you're more focusing on your swordsman skills. So that's another one I completely scrolled over. But without a doubt, how they're doing it here isn't something we've seen in other games.
Yeah, it's very unique. Which from Mikami and his crew's conversation, that was the point, was to do something out of the ordinary.
Let's keep going.
ダメだな。はい。この作品を作ってて。
Another Garo comparison I'd like to make is the villain here kind of reminds me of the main antagonist of Makai Senki. So that's another thing I like. But that's the thing about Buddhist mythos villains is the mask they wear can make for a very threatening protag, along with some cool abilities.
That you mean antagonist?
Yeah, antagonist, what I say?
As well as also, let me just go back real quick. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Yeah, right here. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be fast travel or something, because he's going up here and he's not. It's not the same thing as how he was traversing the things with the Tengu. So
yeah, that looks different.
it may be something where once you've cleansed a certain area, you can then sort of travel to other nearby areas, or it might just be an ability that we haven't seen. But the game, as they're saying right here, it looks like the game is non-linear, so that's good.
Yeah.
東京って広い舞台でプレイヤーは自由に歩けるので、それをどうやって見せたらいいかみたいなところはすごく苦労しましたね。
どうしたらこう良くなるかとかがもう全部手探りの状態からスタートだったんで、
やっぱりゴーストワイヤーって今全部で2200のレベル。
Oh wow, that's a lot of segments. So it may be something. Well, the good thing about Tokyo is that since there's so many like big buildings, they are definitely not going to be able to have to load in so much. So it's like the buildings themselves are going to help with loading issues and all that.
と数百万のオブジェクトがあってそれを読み込んだり捨てたりとかっていう処理をしないといけないんですけども、そこの処理がやっぱり一番ネックになってて、そこをハードが解決してくれたりとか僕らで最適化したりとかっていうところがいつも困難だけどもやりがいがあって、しかもそれが表現につながってるっていうところだと思います。
ぶっちゃけ幽霊とか超常現象とか信じますか？また見たことあったりしたら教えてください。
幽霊は基本的に全く信じてないですね。
幽霊自体は信じたいけどそんなに超常現象を経験したことがないので信じてないのが現実ですね。
幽霊とかはいたらいいなっていう、見たことないですけど、超常現象も遭遇したことはないですけど、いたらいいなと思うし見てみたいなと思う。
Wanting to experience one someday. You say that now, but that I don't know. We all would like to some extent, but at the same time, would you really be saying that in the moment when you're looking at that freaky thing, especially if you're waking up in the fucking morning and it's standing over you?
Well, I mean, like, it may not be a malevolent spirit, but one thing to know is here is I'm not seeing any other enemies. So this scissor lady, as I'm just going to call her, she may be a boss. We haven't really seen any quote unquote bosses yet, but we have seen stronger enemies. So it'd be interesting to see how they tackle bosses on a non-linear game.
Yeah, it looks like there's obviously like the low level creatures, in the masses and all that. But then it seemed like I noticed that there just seems to be the individual ones that just stick out, like the scissors lady, the thing with the mouth, the weird looking thing at the end of the gameplay reveal, and then of course Mr. Oni Mask Guy himself. It looks like that we'll obviously have our bosses, our individual ones that stick out, and it seems that these ones are based off like current stories that are going around, Like the scissors, like the lady with the giant scissors, I believe is an actual town legend and all that.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah,
she is. I think that the lady with the scissors is the slit-mouthed woman because the slit-mouthed woman, I'm not sure if you heard of her, but she potentially wears a mask, goes up to people, often children, asks if she's pretty. If they say yes, she shows them her mouth. I think she gives them a mouth just like hers. If they say no, well, she fucking kills you. That's essentially her. I swear the slit-mouthed woman uses scissors. I think that's what she uses. That's why in the Slit-Mouthed Woman 2, the second Slit-Mouthed Woman movie, is called The Scissors Massacre. And I think her pair looks just like that.
会いたい。
やっぱ見たい。
会いたい。 ちょっとした芸能人とか有名人になった感じ。
あ、それより嬉しいかもしれないですね。
それより嬉しい。
Better, she says.
今度機会があったら幽霊のサインでももらってください。ゴーストワイ東京でズバリ個人的に一押しだっていうのが。
All right, boys. This is actually where I gotta sign off.
All
I
right.
have to go do something now. So thanks for having me. You guys, continue doing what it is that you're doing. But thanks for having me, Joey. As always, it's a pleasure.
Glad to have
Zimzilla,
you.
Nice to
pleasure
meet
as
you, my
well.
man.
But
Good to
yeah,
have
you
you
guys, you guys have a good one.
You too.
Yep.
See ya. Okay, now let's finish up this overview.
ストーリーと世界観です。
簡潔でした。ありがとうございます。同じくどうぞ。
一番の売りはやっぱパラノーマル表現、いろんなのがあるんですけど、こう怖いのからかっこいいのからちょっと笑っちゃうようなものまであるんですけど、いろんな印象的なパラノーマル表現が一番の売りかなと思います。
やっぱり三上さんの月光のピアノプレイだと思います。
あれちょっと社内いじめじゃないのあれ。まあ喜んでいただけてればありがとうございます。はい。じゃあ
今回プレイステーション5で 3D オーディオの機能を全面に生かして作ってるので、
そうよ。
3D オーディオ本当にすごくて、実際気づかずにこうゲーム中のオブジェクトとか蹴っ飛ばして倒しちゃったりしてガチャーンって音がしたりすると、本当に自分のうちのものが壊れたんじゃないかってちょっと振り返ってしまうぐらいのリアルさがあります。
Yeah, it does look like right here that she's just kind of chilling here, so she's definitely not a boss, it looks like.
Yeah, she's one of the. She seems to be one of the what I would call goons of the game that you just come across and take down on your way.
Oh, wait a second. That's interesting.
一押しなのかなって思いますね。
We have this guy. 1, 2, 3.
I mean, does this I'm starting to think this motherfucker multiplies or some shit. He might be like Bolton from Ultraman.
Well, no, they all look like they're wearing different masks, so these just might be.
They
These
might be
might
goons
actually
of
be the
this.
bosses that we're gonna have to face.
やっぱり
Yeah.
4K で HDR でレイトレースをオンにして本当に高精細で綺麗な映画今見れてて、しかもそれがその 4K HDR レイトレーシングっていうのがこのゴーストワイヤーのちょっと濡れた路面で色鮮やかな夜の渋谷の街を表現するっていうのにすごいマッチしてるんで、そこは今まで見たことない体験をすることができるのかなと思います。
とにかく気持ちよさとか楽しさってところを、中心に作っています。
本当にうまくできてるんじゃないかなっていうのは本当に思います。
新たな始まりの時だ。
ありがとうございます。ありがとうございました。ありがとうございます。こんなに喋んなかったの初めてだね
俺。Okay, is it over? Okay,
Yep, that
so
is it.
Overall, my thoughts is I think the game looks really good, has a lot of potential, and along with Project Eve, the director's cut of Ghost of Tsushima, etc., it makes me look forward to grabbing a PlayStation 5. It's nice to see more Japanese games getting clout, because often when it comes to Japanese games, aside from the Yakuza series, usually it's the American-style ones like Silent Hill, Resident Evil, or The Evil Within that's coming over. So it's cool to see one that's in a more Asian setting with Asian actors for a change. And maybe with this, we'll get more in the future. And with more people finding interest in foreign media, I think that's the case. Overall, it looks unique. There's a lot of ideas that have potential if explored properly. And I think it's going to be fun.
I can definitely say the same. The game looks like my kind of thing. I love first-person games, and anything having to do with Asian culture, I'm always going to be kind of interested. It's not something I'm super versed in. I'm always willing to learn more. I just hope that it's something that's a lot of people are going to really enjoy. It looks like it's got the backing of Bethesda, so hopefully with Microsoft sort of helping push that out, that we're going to see a lot of good things out of the game. And since I have PS5, I will be very much willing to try to get it day one and play it and get my thoughts.
Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts. Like, when I get a PS5 at some point, I'll probably do a review of it. But you know what? If I don't have a PS5 by that point, by the time you play it, you should do a review of it on your channel. I'd be really interested to see you do that. Like, I know your channel is mostly kaiju and tokusatsu oriented, but I think you should branch out a little more and touch on other fandoms. You don't have to make it where the variety of your channel isn't what it's already been, but I think it would be cool to touch on other things here and there, like games you like and such.
I might primarily, like, in terms of outside of just Godzilla and Toku stuff, probably I'm going to be doing a little bit more on Lovecraftian fiction as well as more vintage retro paleo stuff. That's going to be something I'm going to take a little bit more focus on doing outside of just Godzilla himself. If it becomes something in my wheelhouse where it may be something that a lot of people might be interested in, it may take some time, but I wouldn't mind just sort of expanding out, because of course with all the kaiju games that are happening in the near future, even on the stream later tonight that I'm going to be doing, you guys want to check out, I'm going to be I'll be up to my arms in kaiju stuff to really delve deep into, but I know definitely expansion outside of just giant monsters has been something on my mind.
Yeah, I think it would be cool. Especially, it's also really good for business because, for example, when it comes to what I'm planning to do with my YouTube channel, I'm trying to turn my passion into a business. And by that, I want to talk about pretty much whatever I like, which is why I changed my channel name to something more inclusive. My new channel name, Gojin the Makai Phantom, it pays homage to my stuff without straight up being about it. Like, Gojin is a reference to Goji, but I put an N in front to kind of make it sound unique for those who aren't into Godzilla to not really associate it with such. And Makai being a reference to, well, the Makai Knights and such from Garo, but since Makai means demon world in Japan, it also can refer to more than that. I try to make my name more generalized to kind of get the attention from everyone. Not saying you should. You've had a name Zimzilla for a while, but you should. But it would be nice if you branched out a little more and just talked about whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
But overall, I'm gonna grab it. I think the game looks like a lot of fun. It looks original, and the graphics and overall concept is neat. I love Asian lore. You love Asian lore. That's one of the things me and you both found interest in Garo. So hopefully they don't mess it up, because there's times where games are released on first day where they're shitty. So I hope that isn't the case here. I hope it comes out as great.
Yeah, no, I hope so as well.
Yeah, because there's a lot of potential here, and if I think it could be good, because I really enjoyed the Evil Within 1 and 2, and Shinji Mikami clearly has it in him to make this a good game.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. He's produced good stuff, and I'm definitely pretty optimistic. I'm not usually optimistic when it comes to a lot of modern stuff, but it's just kind of a wait and see what happens.
Yep. Plus, it's Japanese. I don't want to sound like a weep here, but I'm glad we're getting more Asian stuff. I know I said this earlier. Like Project Eve, have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a Korean game, and it looks fun. It's a foreign game, and you have a Korean chick with a thick ass. And you know me. But
you're degenerate.
Hey, we're all degenerates here. Don't tell me you weren't staring at that thing.
I make no comments for the kids.
You know it's true. But yeah, I'm not into the whole console war shit. There's a lot of stuff I love on Xbox, but I'm also appreciating the more experimental nature that PlayStation's going. So we'll have to see where it goes here.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I'm more than willing to see this through and see what they're going to be able to present to us.
Yep. I won't pre-order it since I probably won't have a PlayStation 5 at that point, but I think it'll probably be out enough for me to see reviews, and if it's well received, then I'll be like, okay, I'll grab it. Though if I ever had a PlayStation 5, I'll probably grab it from day one, but I don't. You're a lucky bastard.
Oh, you know me.
Yeah. Luck fucking followed you there. You got the impossible.
What can I say? Sometimes I have the devil's luck.
Yes, you do. But unless you have anything more to say, I think it's best that we go.
I've got nothing else to really say. Just again, hopefully, what you saw there for anyone else who watches or sees this once this is posted, hopefully you've liked it and maybe consider picking it up because it's definitely something I'm going to be picking up.
Same here. So, that's it for this episode. Please comment your thoughts down below and go and subscribe to my boy Zimzilla99. He makes some really good he makes some really good content, and recently he's been getting back on the grind of uploading more consistently. So go and show him your support. Also check out his social medias, and he's going to be doing a stream in less than an hour of his own, so go and tune into that.
Yeah, I just realized it's 5:11 up here for us. Probably, if anything, I may push it back to about 6:30, see what happens, maybe 7. Of course, so I can do something so people who aren't watching the footballs can look at something interesting, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, for everyone else who's kind of watching me or like sees when I get this little promotion, obviously subscribe to Gojin. He's awesome, good friend of mine. Just get a little bit of cross-pollination.
Thank you. So that's it for this episode. This is Gojin the Makai Phantom signing out.
Peace, guys.